I think, every kid wants to go number one. Our dream's going number one in the draft. Before the combine, I was, kind of mid, 13 or 15 or whatever, mid first round. And then when I leave, it's like everybody's, you're going first. Like, it's kind of, everybody can say that, but at the end of the day, I can't approach it that way. Going in with the same mindset of, just whatever happens, and, you're just grateful to be here. I just got to work hard and just prove myself at the next level. But if I do go number one, that'd be pretty special.
News team, assemble!
It's back and bigger than ever. It's the unofficial 40 from Soonerscoop.com. Presented by the Choctaw Casino and Resort in Durant. Now, here's the entire Sooner Scoop crew. Carey, Josh, Eddie, and Bob.
All right, welcome back. It is the unofficial 40, brought to you by the Choctaw Casino and Resort in Durant. And we're almost all here. Josh has got the week off, taking a little staycation time, I think, cleaning the house, doing stuff that the wife wants. But, man, we have been through, I think, spring football boot camp over the last 7 days. Pro day yesterday. We had practice the day before. All kinds of stuff for us to get to. But let's start it out. Welcome in, guys. Eddie, Bob, how are you guys? Are you alive?
Hello.
Are you holding up?
I am. I can't.
Sort of.
I just dawned on me that I've been bitching about working and stuff, and I was in New Orleans all weekend. I didn't even go to do the football stuff over the weekend, so
Yeah, thanks.
no problem. I'm just glad to be alive. Happy to be here.
I am glad that you're alive. How was the bachelor weekend?
It's great. New Orleans is fun.
Wedding still on?
As far as I know, there might be a divorce amongst the party as far as one of the travelers amongst us.
Isn't that always the way it works? Like there's one guy that does something on your bachelor party that he gets off the leash, and usually his wife is
basically what
pretty
happened.
tight, and they get off the leash and they just do something stupid.
Yeah, I think this one's pretty cool, and even after this, I think that basically we went to a club, and
This is dangerous, by the way.
a dangerous club.
This is dangerous because
along Bourbon Street.
Well, what I'm saying is this story is dangerous because take it from me. I told the bachelor party story.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how much I can say. I don't know how much
someone
they
that
listen,
you
though.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the worst thing that he did is he puked all over his hotel room.
That's all right.
But it's not. But his credit card was on the room, which is why I found out.
That's
about
never
it.
good.
So then you get the extra charges. You know, the wife says, "I'm sure this is how it works." I wouldn't know, but the wife, I'm sure, says, "Okay, honey, you can go on the bachelor party. I want you to have a good time, but no Frank the Tank. You know, put that away. Let's not do anything crazy." And when she sees a bill come back for $1,500 for a $400 a night hotel room, she wonders what the hell you've done. And then you have to, well, he didn't have to explain because I told the story on the radio, and then she found out that he got so hammered that he puked all over the room.
I think that my man would take that outcome over what ended up happening to him.
Ouch.
He woke up Saturday morning and didn't have a cell phone, didn't have a credit card, and didn't have a driver's license. 3 things that you usually need in New Orleans, Louisiana. And
Was he indoors or outdoors when he woke up?
he was indoors.
Did he have
which
pants on?
I don't know, but that's still a little bit of a question mark on how he got into the room without anything. But
That leaves a lot to the imagination. I like this.
yeah, it wasn't good for him.
Was he
and
lured there? Was he robbed?
I have no idea. We have no idea. And needless to say, he took a early exit from the party and went ahead to the
Was
airport.
his butt sore the night?
I don't know. I don't think so, but it wasn't good. But other than that,
So he
it was pretty good.
He left early.
Yeah, he had to leave early, but
He got summoned home, basically.
I think is how that worked. But it was
That's so bad.
it's kind of like what we've talked about when we've gone down there for the Sugar Bowl, and I guess it was a little bit on a miniature scale as far as 2 days in New Orleans
Yeah,
that's plenty.
It's kind of like 4 days in Vegas is too many.
That's
Yes.
way too many.
Yeah,
Yes,
like
it is.
3 is maximum.
I will say though that New Orleans, as far as like going out to eat and stuff, I
Can't beat it.
I don't know if you can beat it.
Which, as picky as you are as an eater, I'm surprised.
I know,
because it's
kind of
all
weird.
seafood.
Yeah,
and-
it's kind of weird. I would kill somebody for grilled oysters, though. I think,
I like grilled oysters,
and I don't even
I'm
like
not a
I
big
don't even
oyster
like
person.
regular oysters.
Yeah, I'm
the
not-
grilled
I'm-
oysters, though, those are good.
I'm telling you, you get Eddie out at a nice restaurant with some good alcohol, and you can get him to do just about anything. I've taken him to a vegan feast before that he survived,
Yeah, that wasn't
and
bad.
I think he enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good. It
Where
was
they
fun.
were lighting aromas around us as we ate.
Yeah, that was good. In Oklahoma County, nonetheless.
Plus, I
That
didn't make
wasn't
him
even
pay
outside.
for it, which really would have dampened.
Yeah, I
the
think that's
evening.
probably one of the reasons why I liked it so much. We did go to a steakhouse on Friday night, and it was right on Bourbon Street. Really nice place, and it
Did you
wasn't
hit up any Emerald?
it wasn't
places?
too expensive, so we went back the next night. And that's, of course, a precursor meal for late night crystals, because that's what you do on Bourbon Street.
I really enjoyed Manning's.
New
What was-
Orleans is lost on me. I'm going to admit it. Not a seafood guy. Never have been.
I surprised to learn that I actually like gator.
Gator's good. We had some gator bites or whatever.
The most New Orleans I get is
Etouffee, is that how you say it?
My parents love razzoos.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll go there. That's as New Orleans as I get.
New Orleans is fun. It's a good town. It's probably on top of my bowl destination.
I guess, we're far
Better
enough
than
away.
Miami.
Like, if we get summoned to the Sugar Bowl anytime soon, we could probably handle it.
Better than Miami. 100%.
Well, Miami, you're not anywhere. You're not really in Miami.
Right.
That's true. I guess that
You don't
I've had
really
a bad
enjoy-
perception
like-
of Miami because we stay in Fort Lauderdale.
Like,
that's
if
the
you're
Orange
at
Bowl's fault.
If you're at the Sugar Bowl, you're in New Orleans. Like, you literally are staying 2 blocks from Bourbon
Oh,
Street.
you don't need a
And
car.
You're
Yeah.
you're walking the entire week.
I'm a big fan of it.
If we were staying on South Beach, we'd probably have a different opinion.
That's probably true. That's probably true.
Okay, so what has happened the last couple of days? We're podcasting on a Thursday, which we don't like doing. We'd rather podcast on a Wednesday, but yesterday was insane. It started with Pro Day at 8:30. You guys got up. Bob got there first. Eddie and I hustled down there after our radio was over. It really
Didn't start on time.
it didn't start on time. And let's just start from the beginning because, Lincoln, I thought it was interesting. Kind of, he decreed exactly how some things were going to go with testing and measurements and stuff. And he was really doing it to protect his guys, I guess you could say. But here's Lincoln kind of explaining why they only did weights for the guys that went to the combine.
We're pretty standard with all our guys. If they've been to the combine, listen, they measure everything you can measure on a human being and do it to it's as tight as you'll measure the shortest you'll ever measure in your life at the combine. So there's just really not a whole lot of sense in putting all these guys that have just been measured, hand sizes, height, all the different measurements that they take. There's not much sense in doing that. Now we do weights on the guys, because certainly in a couple of weeks your weight can fluctuate. So they got weights on all our guys, but we did not let them measure anything with any of our combine guys. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
And there's 2 ways you can go with that, and I think if you want to be a truther and say that there's no way that Kyler measured that, you can say, well, Lincoln Riley didn't want anyone to measure because he knows Kyler's not really as tall as he measured at the combine. But I was talking to Dusty Dvorak today, and he said he's never measured shorter than when he measured at the combine. Like, that's going to be the shortest you ever measure, is when you go to the combine.
Just the thought of somebody out there that thinks that there's some kind of conspiracy or that they didn't measure him correctly is mind-blowing to me. They're standing in front of like 50 people in that room, aren't they, at the combine?
I've got some people in my Twitter mentions saying there's a guy that said, Kyler, I got you, right before he stepped up at the combine. So yes, there are people out there.
Well, one of those conspiracy people was Dean Blevins. He asked a question of Kyler Murray during his press conference. We might as well just go full in on Dean right now. I even bumped up the audio so you could hear the question clearly.
We can explain why you and the guys that went to the combine didn't remeasure, but yours is a little bit different because you got critics chirping about the measurement not being right, and then I just wondered what your personal thinking was on it, or whether it was close decision or not.
I mean, I went to the NFL Combine, got measured. They're supposed to be. I mean, they're the best of the best. They do everything right. That's what they got me at. That's what it is. I don't know why I would need to do it again, or I don't really listen to everybody or what they say outside. I mean, kind of heard everybody saying that it's made up or whatever, but I mean, if that's the case, then they're questioning the NFL's credibility, which I wouldn't. But I think they got it right.
I wish Kyler would have just looked at Dean and said, "It's the fucking NFL Combine, idiot."
Are you one of those critics? Because it's been mentioned
he's
once.
Like critics are talking. What critics? I haven't exactly heard
There hasn't
people,
been any critics.
How many people have said, "Oh, I don't believe the NFL measurement test"?
I honestly, that has to come from Dean. Must be floating on Facebook and saw it on one of those Russian bot things, because there's not anybody with the right mind saying that.
You think Drew Lock hired the Russians to try and make misinformation float around?
Might have hired Blevins.
Blevins might be on the take.
Maybe he's on the take with Drew Lock.
Blevins is a Russian?
Or Drew Lock. Yeah.
Drew Luck.
Maybe.
It's Andrew Luck.
Andrew Luck, yes.
Maybe Andrew Luck is afraid
to
he's going to... I bet it would have to be somebody like, somebody desperately hanging on in the NFL, a quarterback. Like a Ryan Tannehill. Maybe he's the one behind this.
I can see that. He's scared that Miami's going to try and make a move up or something.
Maybe Eli Manning.
Possibly. Pat Shurmur was there yesterday. I don't know, though. I guess we can get into it later, but
I mean, it's ridiculous. It's the NFL Combine. He got measured. The one place that you go to get measured where everybody can say, okay, they do it right. Like, it was the NFL Combine. Why are we still doing this?
That's a new take that I really appreciate this year, is that they don't believe the NFL Combine's measuring system. Has that ever happened before? Has there ever been a player that...
How did the NFL Combine become fake news?
Yeah, people don't want to believe it.
But they only question Kyler.
Holy shit.
That's right. Like, Kyler Murray's the only person in the history of the NFL Combine to be measured and somebody say, oh, okay. Baker got measured at the Combine 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay. And that's it. We stopped talking about it because the NFL has nothing to hide. It's so strange. And it's even more strange that people keep talking about it, a month later? Or 15 days later?
Well, who's talking about it, really?
Yeah.
It's true.
One old.
They're all cut from the same cloth, aren't they? Blevins is not Charile Casserly. Damn close, so 5-6 years.
He's a local version of Charile Casserly.
He might be.
Maybe Charile Casserly is actually his father.
It is funny, though, that all that Casserly stuff, did that come out over the weekend as far as his self-interest because he runs a quarterback question camp or whatever?
An interview academy.
First off,
preparation
you shouldn't be
service.
drafted if you're hiring Casserly to give you advice on how to answer some of these questions. Just straight up. You should be kicked to the side. Did
you hear the stuff that WFAN did?
Yeah. We've played that this week. It was ridiculous. I'm not the biggest fan of Boomer Esiason, but it was funny.
Well,
it was the other guy.
It wasn't
right?
Boomer doing it though, so that's why it was so funny.
Yeah.
Here's
his
part
daughter's
of it.
hot though.
Is she? Does she know Lori Loughlin's daughter?
She's really hot.
Did you see the story that came out that she was vacationing on the boat
on the yacht?
Yeah, the yacht of the head of the Regents, head of board of Regents.
We can talk about this too, but I think rich people should be allowed to do what they did.
Here's some of that funny stuff. This is an impersonation of Charile Casserly and his criticisms of Kyler Murray.
He's a mouth breather. Are you familiar with those people when they walk around with their mouths open like, oh... That's what I believe him to be. Kyler Murray is a mouth breather. And I've spoken to several people who have made text message contact with him, and he misuses emojis. Very confusing emoji user. And his Instagram story game, below average. He is not on the Odell Beckham Jr. Instagram story level. And I've been doing this for a long time.
Went on to say he smelled like soup, and he was a short dummy.
It's pretty good. Anytime that Casserly can be the butt end of a joke, I'm for it.
Bob Stoops came up to me and he said, "Oh, you guys out here getting some stuff for your morning show?" And I said, "Well, if Charile Casserly just keeps talking, we got plenty to talk about."
Yeah, I was standing there. He didn't seem like he was much of a fan.
Just think he was baffled by it.
I think everybody was because, and we talked about it on the last podcast, but I don't think anybody's ever said that Kyler Murray is like the goal or the ideal captain because he's not.
No.
But if that's to bring that up and act like it's a red flag is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. They're grasping at something that just isn't there.
Well, the other thing was, the other big topic was Kyler not running, Kyler not doing the testing. And I really think this is like a vanity thing for us. Not just us, but for fans too. Like, we just would love to know. Like, 100%. It's just like losing out on the Marquise Brown versus Kyler Murray race. Like, that's been a burning question forever. Who's faster? And like, if Kyler Murray could run a 4.35, just the holy shit factor. I mean, that's like, you just want, like, I made this analogy this morning.
We're all being selfish. We just want to see
exactly.
It would be like it would be like you want to know if, like, Mike Tyson in his prime, could he have broken one of those punching machines? Like an urban
at
cowboy?
bars or whatever that come down? Yeah, probably.
Like, would he hit the maximum on one of those machines?
Absolutely, 100%.
If there was a maximum, would he hit it?
You just want to see it.
Like, that's just one of those things. Like, you just like numbers. You like putting numbers to people. Like, could he run like a 4.31? Would it be a 4.4? Like, you just want to know.
And nobody's not saying that he's not fast. I mean, he's gonna whatever he runs is gonna be the fastest a quarterback's ever run.
Well, and that's why it's bragging rights for fans. And here's Lincoln Riley explaining kind of why it doesn't matter to him or to scouts.
For him, it was just a matter of, does it make sense to run and do all those things? And I mean, not that everybody can do this, but I mean, he's athletically so far beyond anything in this game and anything in that league either at that position that there's just really honestly not much point to it. I mean, and when you've got to get ready to throw, which is when you don't do it at the combine, which you chose not to do, then you certainly don't do anything that hinders that. You can risk injury. I mean, there's a lot of things that could happen when you do all that different testing. So his quickness and speed, I think the tape speak for themselves, and really there really wasn't anything to gain from him doing that today.
And here's Kyler on the same thing.
I knew I wasn't going to run for a while. Just kind of leaving the combine, seeing how everybody felt about me, and just getting advice from Coach Riley. He's obviously talked to some coaches in the league, and just I also didn't want to pull anything before I got the chance to even throw. So those were just some of the reasons why.
Why don't you think that hurts you?
Why don't I think? Just because, I mean, I think that I'm pretty confident in my abilities as far as running. I think people, the film kind of speaks for itself. I would love to get out there and run, but it's not as necessary as I don't think it's that necessary for me. So that's just the decision that we came up with.
Is there a piece of you that would like to go out there?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Have everybody talking about that?
Yeah, but I mean, I expect to run a 4.3 anyway, so I don't know what it's going to do for me. I mean, you watch the film.
It's going to make you look cool.
Exactly.
After listening to that yesterday, there's no doubt that Riley told him, you don't need to run.
Right.
You're not running.
Guys, am I wrong, or are you guys a little bit shocked at how much Riley had his fingerprints on OU's pro day, and the players, how much input he had on what they should and shouldn't do?
It was kind of interesting because
way more than Bob ever had his fingerprints on it.
This kind of sounds harsh, but it was like once you were done here. It's like you go do your own thing pretty much.
Yeah, well, he'd let you. You were a pro now. This was time for you to make big boy decisions. So Bob had his own way of kind of loving you up and letting you do it. Like he would let go.
Is it different because Riley's still the quarterback coach in him still wants to have a little bit of say in Murray. Like they have that tight of a relationship. Even with last year with Mayfield, I never really remembered Riley having it almost seemed like Riley helped script the pro day workout for Murray. As far as, because he was talking about like the types of throws that they wanted to make.
He definitely helped, arrange. Here's an example. Okay, so this helps us move on to something that is kind of interesting about yesterday, is that Charleston Rambo participated in the pro day. And this is another thing, like when you hear them talk about Rambo being a part of it, and then it was clear that Lincoln Riley was like, Kyler Murray basically admitted, I went to Lincoln for it, and he just decided who it was going to be. Like, here's Lincoln Riley talking about, the receivers in general and Charleston Rambo.
Baker had a little bit bigger crew, and we had a few more guys working out at the pro day last year, where we had to kind of piece Kyler's together a little bit. Brought great to have Geno Lewis in town, some great Sooners. Jarvis Baxter, great to have him. Great to have him back. Thought he did a great job. We even brought up Charleston Rambo from our team to make sure we had enough bodies. So there was actually a lot of limited time for Kyler to work with these guys. And I thought, considering the limited prep for it, it was pretty darn sharp.
What did you think of Rambo?
Rambo did great. He got out of class. We had to golf cart him over, warm him up, and then he jumps onto a pretty big stage. So for a young cat, yeah, he jumped in there and did well.
Okay, so here's why Rambo could do it.
This is the NCAA bylaw.
Yeah, they don't miss class. It's conducted on your campus. No contact, no protective equipment, and the amount of time is included in that student athlete's daily and weekly limits.
Yeah, so they might have to take him off the practice field a little bit earlier than everybody else.
Correct.
Because he did do that. And that's probably why they didn't want CeeDee Lamb doing it.
Yeah,
Jalen Hurts needs the CD time.
It was funny. I walked out of there yesterday thinking Charleston Rambo was the second best player on the field today.
I don't know, man. Joel Blumenthal was pretty damn good.
Oh, he had a hell of a day. He's gonna
Belichick his way into the league.
I definitely think that he will be invited to some type of mini camp or training camp or something. He's not going to get drafted or anything like that, but he had a hell of a day from an athlete side. And he caught a couple balls and had really nice. He played quarterback his entire career. I guess he played wide receiver for a year last year at SWASU. But
did you know I grew up sitting next to his dad at OU football games?
I think you've told me that before.
Yeah. His dad?
He was like a legendary radio caller, too.
He was one of those guys that was a caller to WWLS back in the old days and made his way into a hosting role.
It's unbelievable.
Mobile Dave.
I've known Joel since he's a sophomore, Deer Creek. So, yeah, it was kind of a blast from the past to see him out there.
Mobile Dave, if you're listening, I still have that photo of you and your son. I've kept it forever. I actually brought it yesterday.
Blackmail you at some point.
I actually brought it yesterday thinking I might see you and I could give it to you. But, yeah, I've known Mobile Dave. I've known Joel's dad since I was a kid.
It's wild. Small world.
And then I know his sister dated an OU football player. I don't want to go into that because I don't know how that worked out. Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Well, yeah, Geno Lewis, Jarvis Baxter, just a weird group of
It was a weird
guys.
group. But, you need people. But that was the thing we were talking about. It's pretty clear that Lincoln was in charge of, putting that all together for him.
I think anytime you're, and maybe this was just because there were so many eyes on yesterday in Norman, but anytime kind of your baby or your program is in charge of it, I'm sure he wanted everything to run as smooth as possible. Because there were so many people.
Okay, about the workout. Let me throw this out to you guys. This is how I broke it down yesterday or today when somebody asked me what I thought about the workout in general. I thought last year Baker's workout, he did the kind of strange thing where he ran up and down the field.
Yeah.
But Baker, in his pro day, we watched him throw the ball a lot in games. I thought in his pro day, every throw that he made, he wasn't just going for accuracy, he was going for velocity. Baker was trying to whip that ball around, to prove
that he
to
had the arm
everyone
strength.
that he had the arm strength that was needed. I thought yesterday Kyler looked more like a guy that was just out there to play catch and be accurate.
Place it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I
It wasn't
definitely
an
think
aggressive performance by Kyler.
I think that's probably the best way to say it, for sure. And it kind of almost...
But he has the arm strength he doesn't have. Like, he was so confident in his arm strength. He's like, I don't have to prove, that I can whip it.
It almost kind of is a representation of each guy. Like, Baker's was kind of wild almost. I don't know if wild is the right
aggressive.
word. But, yeah, aggressive is probably the better word. And Kyler's just more relaxed, more... This is me. This is what I do.
It was kind of like their personalities.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was very, I guess, representative of their characteristics.
Of who they are.
Yeah, of who they are as people. But, Murray just... The thing about Murray is he does everything, like, just the way he throws the ball and the way the ball comes out of his hand is so effortless.
Yeah.
It's truly... Like some of those corner balls and then some of the go balls, the way that the spiral on the ball, it looks different.
It really is like
very catchable. Is that one way to say it?
It's like Baker, and this is not a knock, but Baker maximizes every ounce of athleticism he has in his body and puts it out there on every time the ball is snapped. He puts it out there. Kyler is a guy like he has talent in reserve. Like, he can turn it on. Even him at 75% is as good as everybody else. And then when he's forced to. I mean, like, you think back to some of those throws he made to Marquise Brown. Like, I think of the Iowa State throw.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was the one time I remember where I was just like, damn, Kyler really unleashed that ball there. Because I remember asking him after that game, like, is that the hardest you've ever thrown a football on the field? And he's like, I don't really think about it like that.
What about the deep ball in the south end zone to Marquise Brown against OSU? I think that was right before halftime.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sure was.
Yeah.
That was ripped out of there.
Yeah, it's just like when he needs to, or when he feels pressure, or it's like that throw against Alabama to Charleston Rambo. That was effortless on the run,
50 yards, like nothing.
Yeah, it was nothing.
Just a flick of the wrist.
Just flicked his wrist. But then there'll be times when he drops back, plants his foot, and just lets it fly. And you're like, holy shit.
Yeah, he really lets it. We were standing there on the sidelines, and even some of the balls, you said he wasn't going for velocity, but, that thing's humming out of his hand.
Yeah.
There was a couple that, I almost got hit by one.
He made a couple of just beautiful deep throws.
Yeah. He can throw the football. I think we confirmed that, or reconfirmed what we already knew.
Did he talk about how Jim Zorn came into the picture?
That's a good question, because I have no idea.
He talked about it. It was real short and sweet. He just said, I've been working with him for about a month now.
I wonder how they got hooked up, though. Something maybe through Kevin? Did his dad know him somehow?
Yeah, I wonder if his uncle is talking to him.
After screwing over Rosenhaus and that group, baseball side?
I bet Kyler didn't come out with a penny from that thing.
I thought it was...
Because I think some of that, all the money that he didn't have to give back, probably went to his agents.
Probably had to.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious. The one shitty answer he gave yesterday was to the guy from the Bay Area talking about baseball.
He asked him if you got baseball out of your system.
Yeah. I thought that was great. The guy came all the way in from the Bay Area.
I actually liked his answer, though. It's like, it's kind of...
He just said, I'll always love baseball.
Yeah, he's always going to love it.
It's kind of a dumb question, to be honest.
Well, not if you're from Oakland.
I think he's staying around for Saturday, too.
I just think you have a lot of A's fans that are still hoping he gets drafted poorly and gets pissed and decides to go back to baseball.
Yeah, are they like they openly rooting for him to be terrible the next 2-3 years?
Oh, I think so, yeah.
He'll come
Something
back.
tells
the
me
number 9
that's
pick in the
not
draft,
gonna happen.
yeah. They're absolutely rooting
Something
for that.
tells me that's not happening.
Okay. A little bit. One of the things, and Bob, you wrote about this. You did a great notebook. It's up on the site now. You focused a little bit on the guys that didn't work out, because that's really probably, other than Cody Ford, that's probably the biggest story in this draft. Marquise Brown actually said that he plans to go to the NFL draft. So
he thinks he's a first rounder. You don't want to be there second day.
He feels like he's still in good position. And I actually asked him a little bit about that and Lincoln yesterday.
Marquise, do you think teams, or have you got the impression that teams were kind of impressed by the fact that
you had an injury that needed surgery, but you tried to give it a go. I don't know. Did you show people that you are a true team guy going through what you went through?
Yeah, a lot of coaches, they ask me, like, well, why would you play? Like, there's a lot at stake. But, me, I came from, nothing. So these guys gave me an opportunity. If we had another game after that, I would have played. So, I just wanted to give them all.
And let's face it, he knew he had a Liz Frank injury, which I think everybody had to know. You're not coming back from this. You need surgery in order. But he's like, no, I want to give it a month. I'm going to my hometown. Mm-hmm. I want to try and play. We're playing in the college football playoff. And Lincoln Riley talked a little bit about that as well, just what that meant then and what it means now going into the draft.
It's their body. It's not my body. It's their life. It's not my life. And so always their health is always going to be at the forefront of everything that we do. That was a hard time for him just because he wanted to play in the game so bad, wanted to play well in the game. It was important to him for a ton of reasons. But, I think the feedback from scouts, GMs, head coaches, all that on Marquise has been him trying to gut it out is a positive, because you're right, a lot of guys would have ducked out of that, but a lot of guys don't place the value on the team like this kid does. So it's and it's not going to hurt him a bit. It's everybody knows the kind of player he is. You turn on the tape, he's the most dynamic receiver in this draft and has been a tremendous Sooner for us.
And you know what? There's probably not a better time in football right now, than with what happened with Antonio Brown, Odell Beckham Jr. getting traded away. Like, I would think that a lot of GMs out there are like, oh, he's a non-diva receiver that's all about his team, and he runs like a 4-3. I think we like that.
It's going to be interesting to see what team.
All those white owners sitting in there.
Oh, part of the Jerry Richardson.
The old school is what I'm getting at.
Jerry Richardson, Charile Casserly KKK Club.
I wasn't going there.
It's going to be interesting because he's not going to be able to work out or anything for a team. Like, there's going to just have to be a team.
He can't do anything until he rises.
Trusts that he's okay.
Yeah, him and Rodney. It's so interesting.
I think Rodney,
I would rather take a chance on Marquise Brown. This is probably obvious, but I'd rather take a chance on a wide receiver than a running back that has had 3 season-ending injuries.
The value of a wide receiver is definitely, well, you thought that until this week, more than a running back. Always, in today's NFL.
But, yeah, absolutely. It will be interesting, though, because didn't it almost seem like he's been told by a team that we're taking you?
Yeah, I didn't really thought about that.
Why would you go to the draft? I don't know. Maybe you just want to go for the experience.
You don't want to be that guy.
You don't want to be the guy sitting in the green room, for sure.
Yeah, no kidding.
I don't know. It'd be interesting. Are we all still on board as far as thinking? Do you read anything? Do you read into any of the questions about Arizona not sending anybody?
It's interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's almost like,
I do think,
are they overplaying their hand? Are they like, we're going to take him number 1. If we send people, it's going to be obvious.
They definitely have to have a personal workout with him, right?
I think they're so worried about devaluing Josh Rosen's trade value. They're doing everything they can to make it look like they're not in play to take him number 1.
It's going to be interesting.
Because to be honest, really, and Kyler was very weird about, someone asked him, when's the last time you talked to Cliff?
I like that question from Garen yesterday. It kind of caught him off guard, I think.
He stammered for a while, and then he said he texted me a couple days ago.
I almost feel like he texted him that morning. Like, good luck or something.
He probably texted him after the Giants met with him.
What'd they ask you? I need to know. I talked to somebody yesterday that said that he knows somebody that covers Arizona, covers the Cardinals on the beat, and he said he thinks they're keeping Rosen. He thinks this whole thing's a smokescreen.
Look, it is to give up on a quarterback that you just drafted in the first round a year ago.
It's a bad look, but you can still get a lot for him, right? Like, Rosen hasn't done anything to make someone think this kid's going to be a bust.
You can't get what you got.
Or is that basically what Arizona's saying when they trade him away?
You can't get what the Giants just got for Beckham. Not even close.
I don't know. Did they get much?
a first and a third rounder this year.
Yeah, but if you're rolling
and Jabril Peppers.
If you're rolling with Cliff, you got to go with Cliff's guy.
I agree.
So you've made that call.
If they don't, they're kind of dooming Cliff Kingsbury.
Exactly. If he has to work with Rosen and he doesn't necessarily want to, then you're bound to just be a failure for the next 2-3 years before you fire and have to start all back over again.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be. There are people that are. I mean, the Giants look like they're willing to blow it up. The Cardinals are in even worse position. They need to just blow it up.
Blow it up. Get Sterling Shepard out of there first.
Oh man, I feel bad for that guy.
He's still a newlywed. He's probably doing okay. Okay. Anything else you guys wanted to hit on that you stood out? I guess Curtis Bolton is something we should talk about. 38-inch vertical yesterday. What was his 40 time?
4.5?
I think that's right.
4.5.
I think that's right, yeah.
Something?
4.5, I think that's right.
He's a guy that, I mean...
Here's my thing with Bolton. I think everybody knows that I loved him as a player here, but if there's not... I don't know. If there's not a spot for an Eric Striker-like guy in the league, how's there a spot for Curtis Bolton?
Curtis Bolton was truly an inside linebacker. He was a guy that would stick his head in there. Eric Striker was just a speed edge rusher that wasn't big enough. I question whether Von Miller was big enough. He is. I mean, and he's more diversified as a pass rusher. Eric Striker, all he did was use his speed to run around the edge of a giant tackle.
Okay, I'll say
he didn't have any inside moves.
I just don't see Curtis Bolton making tackles in the NFL. I know that's harsh, but
I see him making tackles more than, I hate to say this, but than D. Alexander.
Yeah. Dominique had a decent career, I guess. I mean, a couple years.
Is his career over now? Is he even with the team anymore?
Is he still with the Browns? I'm not. Yeah,
after he got cut, I'm not sure if he got picked back up.
But, I mean, he made it a few years in the league. Jordan Evans is making it in the league. He was back for Pro Day.
There won't be anybody that says, no, you wouldn't want to take any type of chance on this guy. I think that he'll get rave reviews, I would think, from the staff, just as far as a guy that
somebody maybe special.
So you
teams.
think he will get drafted? I just don't.
Really? See, like 7th round?
No.
Somebody taking a flyer?
I don't know. I think you can get some value there as an undrafted free agent, but I hope he does. Maybe he will.
Well, I think he was in that spot before the workout, but with as many people there, as well as he did, I mean, Lincoln Riley thinks he's got a chance.
Well, there's no doubt that everybody kind of benefited from the show that was the Kyler Murray thing, just with as many eyeballs that were in that building yesterday.
What about Amani Bledsoe?
That's the one
I thought he had a pretty good day.
About.
Yeah.
I thought he had a pretty good day.
He got the most GIF-worthy moment that Eddie caught.
Yeah.
Knocked the shit out of that student manager.
Block or charge?
I think it was a charge. His feet
it is,
set.
like you said, it's March. It's got to be a charge.
It'll be interesting, though. I don't think anybody walked out of yesterday that hurt themselves, I guess would be the best way to say it, just overall.
Yeah.
I mean I kind of thought Cody Ford was going to improve his bench, but how big of a deal is that really?
What was his bench? Because I
thought it was 21, and then he only got 20.
Okay. That's not terrible, though.
And I think he said that he wanted to try and get around 23 or 24, but maybe he still has a little bit of a shoulder issue.
All right, so we had Pro Day, but we're also in the middle of spring football right now. We've had 2 post-practice opportunities. Our most recent was Tuesday, and that was with the offense. And that was really our first chance to talk to Lincoln Riley about the way the defense has been going 3 practices in. And here's what he had to say.
Yeah, been impressed with how much they've been able to do defensively, despite not having much time with them on the field or in the meeting room yet. So he's got a great way of teaching that, it can present a lot of different ways to offenses, but it's I won't say simple, but he does a good job of making it as simple as possible for his players, his other coaches. And so, they're able to get a lot in, and they're able to do a lot. And so the scheme part, I think, has been on or ahead of schedule. And then the effort, just kind of that extra it factor that you have to play great defense regardless of what your scheme is. You're starting to see it pretty consistently, with our group over 3 practices. And so we've got to be able to build on it and maintain, but I think it's been a really good start. And I just love the mindset and the vibe of just everything on that side of the ball right now.
So, talking to the defense, I think the one thing that we kind of learned that was interesting or kind of sets a little bit of a tone for this defense is Trey Norwood starting nickelback, not starting corner, which means either they're all in on Parnell Motley and Trey Brown. Well, I think it's probably more the other way around. Or maybe Buki and Parnell Motley are fighting for a corner spot now.
Yeah, when we talked with Buki, he mentioned safety and nickel. He hadn't mentioned corner just yet. But again, that was the very first day of practice.
Yeah.
So they could be tinkering with
But they did say that they're trying him in all different
They're trying
kind
a lot
places.
of different things, and that we've talked about that before, the balancing act of going through that trial and error process when you have 15 practices and you're trying to install stuff. So we'll see how it progresses with Grinch and the defense during these next couple weeks.
The 2 guys that are most interesting to me in that defense, we talked a lot about, and it seems solidified. I mean, I asked Alex Grinch directly, what do you think of Caleb Kelly? He made it clear he's a will. I mean, he's playing will, and sometimes they keep him in as the nickel. So he's essentially playing that position that they had planned to move him to last year when he was redshirting or technically redshirting. So they
what does that mean for
they see it the same way.
Deshaun White?
I know.
That's
odd man out.
I mean, I don't know.
Well, it means 2 things. It means he can actually have a legitimate competition for that starting middle linebacker spot, and Kenneth Murray has a legitimate shot at getting beat out of a starting position. That's what it should mean.
Which is a shame the way that he wears the uniform.
I know.
I told somebody, what was that, Tuesday when we were standing there?
Yeah.
It's like, how is this guy not good at football?
He's not great at football.
Okay, that's fair.
He can be where he's supposed to be part of the time. He's just not great at making it finishing. How could that guy that looks like that not be a finisher? That's the question.
Sure. Just from standing there, it was kind of funny. We're standing there waiting to go in for practice, and they're still out there on the field, and Riley says he likes the vibe of it. It did sound louder. I don't know if that obviously that's not equating to wins or anything like that, but they're at least out there, I don't know, playing with a spirit. I don't know if that was there. Well, and maybe that's just part of going through the process of welcoming in 3 new coaches. You don't want to get on their bad side, so you're going to buy in and do everything you can.
I mean, my feel is they probably have better feedback from these coaches than they did the previous staff, whether it's Roy Manning or Brian Odom or Alex Grinch. I mean, they're probably getting coached hard, but they probably feel like they're a little bit more, not maybe even their age, or that they identify with them a little bit better, maybe because the previous staff was kind of older and set in their ways.
Yeah.
But here was the thing I was getting at earlier. Got sidetracked by the linebacker discussion. I think it's a huge spring for 2 guys, and they could totally reshape this defense. Chance Sylvie and Delarian Turner-Yell.
Both guys that, Sylvie obviously battled through injury, never was on the field last year, and then
Robert Barnes is included in that, but he's not practicing. He's rehabbing.
Just from the pictures, they look great physically. I mean, I think I commented during the season that Sylvie'd be out there before games, running around and doing things. It's like that dude's huge.
Yeah,
he's
massive.
jacked.
And Turner-Yell's the
but
same way.
Can they play?
If they can,
you can't answer it right now. There's not enough to think that they can.
If they can, this defense gets better in a hurry.
There's no reason to think that they can, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
They haven't done anything yet.
Okay, so the other thing besides the defense that is 3 practices in, everybody wants to know, hey, what about all those young receivers, Lincoln?
Well, I would not say 3. I'd say 4 with Austin Stogner. I mean, there wasn't a more highly recruited tight end in the country than him. And so, yeah, it is unique. I mean, they're physically all of them are good enough to be able to help you soon. I mean, which we thought they probably would be, and they are. Mentally, how do they continue to prepare? How do they prepare their bodies? How do they handle all the transitions? I mean, there's still a lot of question marks out there on these guys, but there's no doubt the capabilities there. And, you like what we've seen of them thus far. If they can if they can improve on a steady rate, and that could be a pretty special quartet of guys there.
And talking to Grant Calcaterra, everybody always asks me, okay, which one of those three guys do you think is going to make the quickest impact? But talking to Grant Calcaterra, my answer might be Trajan Bridges, just because he said one thing that I thought was really interesting. He said, I asked him about the young guys. He said, well, Trajan's the one guy that's in the room with me at inside receivers. And OU is lacking in quality inside receivers. I mean, they've got CeeDee Lamb on the outside.
They got Rambo.
They got Charleston Rambo on the outside.
A.D. Miller.
Stop it.
I was going to say, no matter what, you're not allowed to mention A.D. Miller. Damn you, Illinois. But no, I mean, look, Theo Wease is a difference maker. He could jump up there.
They haven't had freshmen that look like that. Not at the wide receiver position.
No, for sure.
But I'm just saying.
I think Hazelwood looks pretty damn good from just the pictures I've seen.
Yeah. But you weren't there. But Trajan Bridges, he not only has ability, but he has opportunity. And that's always key.
Yeah, I mean, between him and Jaquaylin Crawford, it'd be interesting to see who ends up being the first guy. I kind of discounted Michael Jones at this point.
Golly.
Not sure if he's ever going to turn that corner. But if Crawford or Bridges, I mean, those bring some explosive traits.
And you've got Nick Basquin, but he's not technically eligible yet.
Which is weird, right?
Well, the NCAA cleared him. Like, they actually had to go through the process of the NCAA clearing him to work out and be a part of team activities. But he's still not cleared to participate.
He's got a strong case. You can't see this being
Well, that's the thing
denied.
He told me the other day is, like, Lincoln believes that they're going to win this case, and that's why he's sticking with him and letting him practice. And then you got Drake Stoops. I mean, you got bodies, but if you're truly special, you've got opportunity. And then we'll see what happens with those guys outside. Outside of that, we all know Creed Humphrey is out. And I thought this was a pretty interesting answer by Lincoln the other day when he was asked about the offensive line and how things are going.
It's been interesting. Like it normally is this time of year, even if you got four guys coming back. With Creed out especially, I mean, we feel that right now because what it's created is all of a sudden a guy like Bray Walker, who's repped all tackle, his whole time here has to go in and play some guard. All of a sudden a guy like Tyrese Robinson, who, has been a guard here his entire time, has to go in and play center. All of a sudden, we've had to move Finley Felix around some. I mean, it's just what it's created is some movement to get the reps that we wanted. In the long term, it's going to be phenomenal for these guys. In the short term, we're going to have some tough moments, especially here in spring as we, get used to all the different things we're doing defensively and as we just get settled a little bit on the O-line. So it'll get there. I mean, there's talent. We've got good coaching. We've got good talent. We've got a good scheme. It's going to get there, but it's going to be a process. And but with that group, kind of like the whole group, you can turn on the film and there's steady progress right now. So we just got to keep that up.
And before we break that down, let's listen to Bill Bedenbaugh talk on the same subject.
Recruited well, you've got talent. Did you just kind of have to prepare yourself that it was going to be inconsistent? You're just going to have to deal with that day in and day out?
Well, you know it's probably going to be that way. You don't accept it, I mean, you just got to, keep coaching the guys, keep pushing them. Yeah, there's going to be some growing pains, obviously. I mean, that's what's going to happen. You got young dudes that, have never played, really. I mean, there's some guys that have, gotten some backup time when the game's not really on the line. So you don't know. And then, you're moving guys around. I mean, guys that hadn't played positions. We got some walk-ons in there. They're out there battling and competing. But, obviously we got to, continue to improve. And we have from the first day. It wasn't very good, but it's gotten better the second day and the third day. So, we'll see what happens. They just got to keep improving. Everything is new to them. Everything that happens out there. And then, our defense is doing a good job. They do a lot of things. So every day is something new. It's things that they have never seen before. So it's just, continue to work, continue to study, put the time in, and they'll get better.
I believe he said someone asked about Eric Swinson, and they were kind of getting the who's playing guard, who's playing tackle. And I think Eric Swinson got banged up and said he'd been out, but he'd be back after spring break.
Yes. Yes, he did.
But I mean, we talked about it before. Like Tyrese Robinson is moved from guard to center. Bray Walker has moved from left tackle to left guard. Although even Bill, he's quick to say, look, we understand he's a tackle. Like, we're not idiots. We're not going to waste a great
they need bodies
player.
in places.
Yeah, but they just need guys to play certain places and get it all figured out. And then Adrian Ely is out there too. So, Bill's a tinker. He always tinkers. I mean, he's going to find a lineup at some point.
Yeah, they got, what is it, March 14th? They got
12 more practices.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking like 6 months before they really got to figure something out.
Oh, yeah.
I guess 5.5. But still, I mean, I don't think anybody's panicking.
And they don't have Creed Humphrey, who can tell everybody what the hell to do.
What about, this is kind of a side note on spring football, but, Bob, they were able to get R.J. Proctor. I think that's going to be a little bit maybe more important than people realize, just as far as adding depth.
Yeah, I mean,
he started 12 games at Virginia. He can't be just terrible, right?
You look at his numbers, and you're like, he only started 12 games. He was injured a lot. So if he can stay healthy, he'll add depth, he'll add experience, things of that nature. And what you liked about Proctor, I had a chance to talk with him, is he understands he's not set in stone to be the starter. I think at the grad transfer, a lot of those guys want, hey, I'm going to start, right? Or else there's no reason that I'm coming here.
It's kind of like the kid from Rice that sucked at Texas.
Yeah.
Calvin Anderson.
You think about that. If Calvin Anderson comes, Cody Ford never emerges. If you go with that logic, that Calvin Anderson is coming in to start.
I think Bill Bedenbaugh watches Calvin Anderson a couple practices like, nah, thanks for coming.
We're straight.
Yeah, when you look at Proctor, someone who can help at guard, he's played all 5 spots, but he made it pretty clear. Bill Bedenbaugh, Lincoln Riley have told him he'll be a guard when he gets to Norman, so that'll help with Robinson, Marquise Hayes, and guys of that nature. But yeah, you look at Michael Thompson. That's another guy that Bill mentioned at left tackle.
Seemed to be really surprisingly pleased.
Surprisingly pleased at where he's at from where we thought he would be at this point. So a lot of bodies to see who emerges.
I thought it was interesting too. Finley Felix is a guy he said really helps him because he can move around and play a lot of different positions, and that's kind of what a JUCO brings you. Just some versatility.
What did you think of him when you saw him out at practice? Did you make any comment? Did you say something about him?
It looks like somebody put a little boy's head on top of a giant man.
He's a big old kid, isn't he?
He's huge, but he's got a baby head.
But he's from Coffeyville, so
where they had to get a.
It's like if he were Deadpool and he got his head cut off, and it's like only 3/4 of the way grown back.
Like one of those. What are those?
You haven't watched any Deadpool, have you?
No. I don't think. Oh no, yeah, I have.
Deadpool.
I watched the first one.
Baby arm, baby hands, and baby legs are the best things that Marvel has ever done.
Actually, maybe I haven't. I
don't know. Deadpool 2 is fantastic.
You've seen it, right? Oh yeah.
What is Deadpool the movie with
Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah, I saw the first one.
Okay. See, that's a Marvel movie that you should like.
Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah,
it was good.
Deadpool 2 is even better. That should be an Eddie approved Marvel flick.
Okay,
we all know you're not going to see Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be seeing
that. But no, I mean, look, it's going to be interesting to watch it all play forward. I did kind of hear like Jalen Hurts was running for his life in the scrimmage they had Saturday, and then it didn't look good. And I think that's why you hear Lincoln. That was Tuesday, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So Lincoln almost started laughing when he was asked about the offensive line. Now, I mentioned Jalen Hurts, and I could have led with him. We've kind of buried him in here in our segment.
Oh, by the way, he's still around.
That's because we can't talk to him until next Thursday, so it's hard.
It was a chance for Lincoln to kind of talk about a guy that he's now worked with over 3 practices, and he got that question about, it's the question you have to ask. And I loved Lincoln's response, which was kind of, are you shitting me? Like somebody asked, what about, I think it was Kersey. He asked about what kind of arm does Jalen Hurts have?
He's fine. I mean, he makes every throw he needs to make. I mean, he's very capable of, like we felt on tape and through evaluations, he's very capable of doing everything we want him to do in the throw game. I think more now it's just going to be, and I do anything with him physically. A guy can throw the ball. It's just, he's just got to learn how we want everything done, and getting on the same page with our receivers and getting on the same page with our scheme and what we want. He's progressing fast. There's no doubt about it, but it's going to it'll be a race to see how much he can progress because he does have such a short time here.
And here's a little bit more on Jalen.
Lincoln, can you describe kind of what you learn about a quarterback when you watch him on film and see him play for other programs versus when you get him in your offense, and what you kind of learn different about a guy in that situation?
Yeah, you kind of relearn everything. I mean, you evaluate these guys, whether it's at another college or their high school or their junior college, whatever it is, you evaluate them to see if you think they're capable of running what you want them to run. And then once you make that decision to bring them here, then it's you're learning everything about them. I mean, in the meeting room, on the field, how they process, what they see, what they like, fundamentally, where they're at, where they need to grow. I mean, they're just it's kind of like a restart, in a lot of ways. So, but it's a fun process. It's fun getting to know these guys. It's fun seeing what makes them tick, seeing what they're good at now, seeing what they need to improve on, and we're making up ground quickly. But we just gotta, we can't waste a day right now.
I'm really interested to see this guy run OU's offense at some point. Just what it's going to look like.
If they can take care of everything up front, I think it. And again, I mean, I feel like we've said this the last couple of years. I don't think they're going to be able to do what they did last year, but it's going to be pretty damn good, I think. Serviceable is probably not even the best way to put it. More than serviceable.
Like, I know you can't do this.
Guy's a good quarterback.
But Lincoln wants to pack the stadium. Just need to keep hitting home like you're going to be able to see Jalen Hurts play quarterback at Oklahoma. Like, that's all. I know it's not unfair criticism when people say it's vanilla, it's boring, it's we don't really see anything, they don't really do anything. It's all it's all just Melba toast or whatever. But I mean, look, this is a little different. Seeing Jalen Hurts, a guy that he's led a team to a national championship game, and now he's playing in an entirely new offense, and what this could mean for Lincoln Riley's reputation as a developer of quarterbacks. Like, man, that's intriguing. That's something I want to go see. I'd pay $10 for that.
Especially if it was
not
nice
Lee
out.
Bryce, but
especially if it was nice out.
What if Jalen Hurts came out and said, "I love Lee Bryce"?
That's why they got him.
Yeah. Because sometimes you get black guys that like riding horses, like Rashawn Woods, and fishing and stuff.
Yep, for sure.
Do we know Jalen Hurts is not a country boy?
We don't.
Can't say that. I mean, we'd have to talk to him at some point.
Channelview is a little remote, isn't it?
I have no idea.
There's some weird suburbs in Houston. Did you see that thing about the guy with the horse in his pickup truck the other day? That was on High Noon. Like, Babani Jones was like, "Oh, I've seen this in Houston before."
I did not. I missed that.
I don't think that he is. I don't think he's a country guy. But I just said boy. That's kind of... You got to
sound like a jazz fan.
Uh-oh. Yeah. Uh-oh.
I know.
You don't want to go full Shane. Yes. You don't want to go Shane.
Well, country boy and boy are two different things. Come on. Got me some slack. All right. Josh is noticeably not here today. He's not yell talking. There's no yell talking on the podcast today. He is going to be in Houston this weekend. He's got this week off, kind of doing dad duties. But I know, that is an area.
New Orleans.
New Orleans. What did I say?
Houston.
New Orleans. We've been, to New Orleans before for camps, and it's always just a little handful of guys here or there. And, Texas A&M and LSU have kind of become the biggest players in that part of the country, along with, Georgia here and there, or maybe a Florida. But is that where is OU in terms of New Orleans, Louisiana right now, Bob?
I know. I mean, that's a very good question because you look at the roster. There's only 3 kids from the state. None of them since after the 2016 or 2017 class with Adrian Ely.
Dwayne Orso-Backus and...
I mean,
that
Joseph Paul.
That was a while ago.
Courtney Garnett.
Those are kids that we saw the week of OU Alabama Sugar Bowl practice at practice.
That's the Jerry Montgomery factor. It's electric.
Or searching for Hulk, Arthur.
Oh yeah, well,
Arthur McGinnis.
He OU may or may not still have a player from the New Orleans area on their team.
So, just a note from Josh. I mean, there are some 2020 kids. There's a few offers there, but he said the majority of what he'll be watching is 2021 and 2022, and so I mean that be something to really keep tabs on. Doesn't feel like OU has that foothold. It seemed like Jerry Montgomery tried hard to get into that state. And
you know, the last time I was in New Orleans, who was the kid that put his hand through a plate glass window at LSU? That was the defensive tackle.
Trey. It was long ass, crazy ass name. Trey.
Yeah, it was
something.
Some Samoan or
yeah. Yeah.
Yep. I remember seeing him there, and like OU was in the mix, and like I was like, oh, this kid's really good. That was back in the Dalen Mack days, I think.
Yeah, I mean that's the
crazy
2015, 2016 classes where OU was making an imprint. Now they've fallen off. So we'll see if Brian Odom or Grinch tries to go back in there. But Josh is excited to get out there, see a lot of 2021, 2022. Not so much 2020. Don't be expecting anyone to really pop out of the page there where OU looks like they have a realistic chance. Maybe one, at best two, but this is more about the future.
But we've got, I mean, all kinds of camps are coming up. Dallas is coming soon.
Next weekend.
Plus, you got spring football going on, pro day, NFL draft. I mean, it's just going to be nuts around here. So there's never been a better time to be a part of the site. If you aren't, please join us. I mean, that's kind of what we're using the podcast for right now is reach some people that maybe aren't subscribers to Soonerscoop.com. And you have all of Josh and Bob's recruiting information, all our team information from Bob, Josh, or from me, Josh, me, Bob, and Eddie. I can't even keep anything straight.
You got it.
Eddie's Scoop HD stuff. We got more and more stuff coming on the way. So podcast is only getting better. We got the pile of crap is still sitting here that we have to take down to Houston for Josh.
Do you have any idea when you're going to do that?
No, because he's got New Orleans this weekend, got Dallas the next weekend, and then he's got something else the weekend after that. I don't know. Plus, we got practice here, and probably after spring football is over. It better be toward the end of this month at some point. So anyway, we appreciate you guys listening, but hopefully you got a good idea of everything that went on at Pro Day. Plus, much more to come. In regards to guys moving up, moving down. Carson Meyer, we got to see him yesterday.
Stock up.
By the way, I should have got some. It was very sad. Bob got stuck with someone else and did not get to get his first foot forward with Brayden Willis, who is the new H-back extraordinaire at Oklahoma.
Yeah,
Are you off the H-back beat?
I don't know.
Or are you just like white guys?
I've really enjoyed being on that beat for the last couple of years, but Brayden's a good interview, and
he was,
and it makes sense. Again, if you've got Lee Morris and Grant, you're not going to get a lot of touches. You need someone to back up Hall. Brayden fits that bill, when I think we all sort of agree that eventually Brayden's going to pass up Hall too.
It's interesting. I mean, Carson Meyer did a great job, but I mean, Hall has been a guy that I think just didn't work. Like, at least he wasn't along in the same vein as what they've had with Brayden Willis, and now is it Michael Anderson? Is that who's the kid, the QB that just committed that's going to play H-back?
Mikey Henderson.
Boy, they're looking like they might have a little stockpile of H-backs here moving forward.
Yeah, and you give credit to Mikey for realizing that a H-back under Lincoln Riley might trump being a quarterback at some mid-major school, because at all these camps he's going to, he's still a quarterback, which I don't know how well that's going to work out for us in terms of looking at what he can do, because you don't want to see him in that position. But he's got the intelligence to realize, and he's been saying this for the last year, H-back is what they see me as, and I'm totally fine with that, because I trust Lincoln Riley is going to figure out the way to best use what I can do.
Now, Pro Day behind them, is it now kind of a race to get kids committed to come in for the spring game?
It is. I mean, you've heard Lincoln talk about it last week, how they want to make it bigger and better. And then you start thinking about last year, how there were so many commitments you knew were going to go down. You start wondering who could be those dominoes that are ready to fall that Friday, that Saturday. I don't think you'll get as many as 7 like you did last year, but for sure, they want to bring in a lot of out of region prospects, and I think that's what Lincoln Riley is doing so well with the spring game, is realizing some of those non-regional kids can't come in during the fall, either for their high school playoffs, high school schedule, the way the weekends work out. So he's bringing them all in during April, during the most stress-free period, and trying to make the most of it. I don't know if they'll get any of these guys. Hey, we didn't know Jaden Hazelwood would end up being someone who would show up for the spring game and then all of a sudden eventually come back to the Sooners. So it's definitely worth it. But again, you look at some of those out-of-region guys, very intriguing to see if it's too early, like Chris Steele, never got a second chance at him, or if it ends up paying off in the long run.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Unofficial 40, brought to you by the Choctaw Casino and Resort in Durant. We'll be back again next week, maybe have some updates from Josh on Rivals Camp in New Orleans. We'll be preparing for the big Dallas camp. They'll have lots of prospects there, and we'll talk a little bit more about OU football as they'll be on spring break, but as always, we'll have plenty to talk about. I'm sure Charile Casserly will probably say something stupid by then, too. All right, thanks to Eddie Radosovich. Thanks to Bob Pertzbillo. I am Carey Morocco. We'll see you guys right back here, same time, same channel, on the Unofficial 40 from Soonerscoop.com podcasts.